What's going on, everybody? This is Travis Witherspoon from Carter Cow Trading, Trade with Travis on YouTube. Hopefully everybody's doing very well today. This is your overall trade of the week, which is the Australian dollar, United States dollar. Now, before I end up saying what I'm going to end up saying about this overall trading pair, I want everyone to be able to understand this. This pair is the best out of the United States pairs to be able to get into. Is this one of those pairs that I would sit up there and blow all of my money to be able to get into? Absolutely not. And I'm going to explain why in a quick second. But out of all of the US-based pairs, and we basically place our trade of the week based off US-based pairs, the Australian dollar versus the United States dollar is probably the best one when it comes down to being able to find United States dollar strength. Now, let me give you a little bit of a backstory of why I believe that. You end up going to currency quake and take a look at what's happening with the weekly. You can end up seeing that the Australian dollar is actually the weakest pair when it comes down to every currency or every major pair that we end up looking for. Okay, well, let's take a look at it from a daily perspective. If we look at it from a daily perspective as well, we can see that the Australian dollar is basically the weakest. Now, when you're looking at it from a perspective of how the United States dollar is doing for its overall strength, we're at 4.6. Typically, anything right around 5.5 or higher would end up being a stronger pair. But currently, right now, we're not in that particular predicament. We actually are in way more consolidation going into this overall pair. Now, let's take a look at it. Now, once again, this is the best pair when it comes down to United States base pairs to be able to get into. If you decide not to be able to trade it, I totally understand. But I have to be able to put this out to you so you can be able to see. Take a look at it from the weekly. We can see that there's a counter trend line break that's actually breaking down on the weekly. It's actually in the sell zone. We take a look at what's actually in the buy zone. Or we actually take a look at what's happening when it comes down to United States dollar and being in the buy zone. We can see that we should have a little bit of a retracement week going into being able to see if this market is actually going to end up falling back down overall. So that means that we only have short-term opportunities to be able to trade for the United States dollar finding any type of strength. Well, if we take a look at what's been the weakest pair overall over the course of the last few months, it's been the Australian dollar. So when we take a look at what's happening with the Australian dollar, we can see that this market is basically getting into the buy zone based off of the weekly, which means that we should expect that the Australian dollar is going to start getting a little bit stronger and the United States dollar is starting to get a little bit weaker. But what does that also mean? That means that when we're looking at this overall pair, we want to see if this market is going to complete this overall de-extension. There's a weekly de-extension at 72.40 that has not failed yet, which was one of our trades of the week when this market was actually falling with the United States dollar having strength. We take a look at this from the overall daily. We can see that this market has broken the counter trend line inside of the sell zone. With it breaking the counter trend line break inside of the sell zone, we should expect that this market could at least fall down to the 72.40 area that we think that it's going to end up falling down to before actually popping back up and actually being the last pair that will end up basically pouncing on the United States dollar weakness overall when we come down to this movement. So I expect that we should see something to be able to fall from that overall movement. Taking a look at this from the 2 hour, what we can be able to see is this. There is consolidation from this overall movement. We do have a overall resistance of right around 74. And if we take a look at the overall support, we can see that we're basically at the support level right now. Now, what does that mean? Do we have a tradable opportunity going into today? No, we do not have a tradable opportunity going into today. But what I will say is this. I want to be able to look at how this market basically retraces back up and give us an opportunity to be able to get in at 74 in order to be able to sell down and go all the way down to 72.40 and be able to get that. If we don't get that opportunity, then that means that this pair was not the best one to be able to get into at this particular point. But it does give us the opportunity to be able to look at it when it comes down to being able to trade. Now, it's a lot of slim pickings when it comes down to what we're looking at from a US-based pair for us being able to trade, because currently we are in strong consolidation and we're still in the dog days of summer. This is the first day of August when it comes down to trading, so you may end up seeing overall opportunity. When it looks at the market trend, overall we do have the Australian dollars being the best, strongest pair to be able to get in, but don't get fooled about this 89% chance of being able to win. I think that there's, we're looking at that as an opportunity as if the market ends up retracing back. Overall, if you're looking at it, the market has no trend overall, which means that if you do not feel comfortable in being able to trade this pair, don't trade it. Just find another opportunity or wait and see how the market kind of reacts at the middle of the week before I end up getting into a pair. Now, if you like what we end up doing, please make sure that you end up liking the Carter Cow Capital business page. Please make sure that you end up subscribing to Trade with Travis on YouTube. Make sure that you end up tapping in with us on WDRB Media. on iHeart, on Streamer. You can be able to catch me on my new show, Trade with Travis, on Thursdays at 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We actually end up getting a new time. Thanks for all of y'all loyal listeners and being able to get that done. And like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade, trading your plan. Once we end up having another trading pair that will end up giving us a higher probability, we'll end up dropping that down to the mailing list as that second trade of the week. Like always, everyone end up having a good one. Hey,